Okay, so good evening. This is day 15, beginning of the third week. It's interesting to know that we'll spend 2 weeks out of the 6 weeks we were marked for this journey. Quite interesting. Like I do tell myself, time to fly, and time changes yesterday. So throughout this week, we're going to be looking at the third aspect of growth. We've looked at the ground, laying of foundation, then we've looked at relationship. Now we're going to be looking at opportunities. Opportunities. How can we seek opportunity? How can we leverage opportunity in different dimensions of our lives? And we'll see the role opportunity play in our growth. We'll see the role that opportunity play in our development. So to kick off that conversation, we're going to start with diving into our career or our professional development. Okay. And throughout this week, I will try as much as possible to be very, very practical. So sometimes I might decide not to even really put up words. So it might just be saying graphics. And I pray I have time for me to be able to dig into my archive so that I can bring out some pictures, something humorous or hilarious for you to see. Um, I started this last year. I was trying to put together some of my um, journey through my career, pretty much earlier when I started as an intern in the industry and different industries where I've worked. I want to see how much I can relate some of these um, issues I'll be discussing with you about opportunity. But let's see if I'm able to do that. Then subsequently, most of what you're going to be seeing on my slide will be for me showing you some of these things and talking around them and showing you some of these principles I've worked around my life. So we're going to start talking about goal setting focused on your career. We've talked about the SMART goal system, how you can set SMART goal. So I will not be repeating that, but we're going to be seeing how that is applicable in setting goals for your career. I'm sure some of us might have done this at the outset of this year. What you want to attain or achieve in your career pursuits. So we'll see how to define a clear roadmap, create a navigation for sales in this dimension. I believe at the end of this conversation, you will have a clear perspective on how to define how you want to pursue your goals in your career. Of course, your chosen profession. And I will connect you with some of the exercises and assessment you've taken where you have determined or come to terms to know what your personality type is and how this can affect your choices in your career so that you don't have to go on an impossible mission and do like Tom Cruise. There are some people that are like that. They will give themselves unattainable goals, and at the end of the day, they are beaten down when they can't attain those goals. So it's important that we look at how your personality type affects the type of goal you need to pursue. And then once you start the pursuit, how you can monitor and track your progress. Because the actual essence is for you to be able to attain success, for you to be able to achieve your goals. Okay, so we'll see the role that the monitoring and tracking process, the role it takes, and what are the tools or techniques you can use to do the monitoring and control. Monitoring and tracking. So I'm going to be sharing some of these things with you. So let's start with revising on your strengths and weaknesses. Again, it's assumed that now you must have taken the test and the assessment I gave you on SWOT analysis. Uh, I think that should be week 1, day 4, thereabouts. Dr. Falashade did well by showing all these assignments. So if you haven't done it, make sure you go back into the group and check the particular week where this was communicated, and make sure you do that test, because it's going to really help you. You need to determine your strength, know your weaknesses, uh, and then be able to establish what your passions are. So, for the sake of this conversation, I will just give us some of the elements, more like repeating few things I've said in the past. As you are, there are dominant features that make you who you are. Okay. And sometimes you might not really appreciate them until maybe when they are exhibited for others to give you compliments. Likewise, there are certain things that is until when you see results that you can really more like come to terms with it. You see that, yes, this is me, So you rather want to pursue achieving success so that that aspect of you will have more visibility. Rather, if someone is failing, that means you are subduing that aspect of you. Generally, you want to put yourself, your life in these two dimensions. I mean, sorry, two scope, the scope of weaknesses and the scope of your strength. I've mentioned in the past that when you are considering the scope of your weaknesses, you don't want to dwell on it. Rather, you want to find a way to manage it. Okay. So your weaknesses are not what will really give you the level of opportunity that you need in life. Um, One of the things I don't do is for me to celebrate my weaknesses, in as much as I'm not happy about them, especially when it's not me knowing them, someone trying to call my attention to it. With my type of personality type, you don't want to really even want to associate with it, that kind of a thing. Yeah, one should not be shy away, or you should not be afraid, or you should not be timid about your weaknesses. However, what you don't want to do is to make it your dominant feature. You don't want to build or put your building block on it. You don't want to be your critical foundation, because that will be you creating a weak spot in your foundation. And if the foundation be destroyed, your guess is as good as mine. Whatever it is you are building will definitely come down. So imagine people who are building on weak foundation, who are building using weak elements to build on weak foundation. You don't want to try that. And that's exactly what weaknesses portray for you. However, your strength is what makes you stronger. That's why they call it strength. It is a formidable block, or they are formidable blocks. They're elements which you need to maximize, which you need to find a way to always express, to exhibit, to showcase, to put always before you. You put it ahead of the cat. Sorry, put it ahead of the car so that it can be what will pull you through as you drive through the journey for you to be able to achieve and attain your goals. So, what are these strengths? You need to identify them, you need to list them out, and possibly you can even categorize them into different areas of your life, because there are certain strengths that you don't necessarily need in some area. So they will just be like dominant, recess strength, while there are some strengths that they are critical and most needed in other areas of your life, which becomes your dominant strength. For me, when I'm talking about career, like I used to tell people, which a lot of people don't know, but I don't deceive myself. You know, I know one, I'm not a genius. I know I'm not, I don't have high IQ. That's intelligent quotient. When it comes to maybe being an A student, being excellent in its core essence. That is not who I am. So I don't struggle, for me to be that. There are some people that if they just pick a book and they read in few minutes, they grab, they assimilate. Most cases, when I want to read, I need to give more attention. In fact, the way I read writing down, scribbling down, because that's the way I understand. If I don't write, if I don't jot, if I don't interpret in infographics or use use things to represent, maybe in terms of algorithm or use in terms of abbreviation, it will be very, very difficult for me to assimilate. Whereas some people just read like as if they are reading prose, they are reading literature books, and they grab, and they have high retention ability. When exam comes, they go in, remember sharply, pass the exam, and all of that. So I know myself, so I don't struggle with that. So I usually would look for things that will not require me to more like intuitively wants to use IQ to be productive, to use IQ to want to be to kind of like deliver value, So that is me, and I know. So I don't contest or I don't compete in those areas compared to people who knows that they have their one of their strength has to be high IQ. So they will always want to do things that are very cerebral. Why I'm saying this is in the choice of what kind of career, regardless of what your primary disciplines are, right? Either you're a medical doctor, you are an architect, you are a QS, you are a builder, you are a psychologist, whatever your primary discipline are, in selecting your career to define your career path, you need to ensure that your strength informs your decision so that you don't then move into that career and then become more like someone who have to be struggling across the ladder. Things that your strength can pull you through seamlessly, right? Are the things you need to do. Another example is personally, I love mathematics because I mean it doesn't require you cramming things or knowing. Once you know the method, it's just as simple as that. It's usually like you always have one definite answer, one infinitude essence at the end of the day. If you do 1 plus 1, it can never give you variants of answers. So it's very specific compared to if you want to do maybe literature now. You know, you can have variants of outputs. So, I mean, you need to know all these things. You need to know all these things. Or if you are kind of person like me who believes in creativity, like every output should be unique. Even the person that will examine you, you know, doesn't necessarily have to agree with your own outputs because that's even in itself creativity. That's in itself a way of being unique, so to speak. I love those kind of stuff. So when I want to define what I need to do for me to be able to deliver value and be remunerated for it, those are the kind of areas where I want to be relevant, right? Those are the kind of area I want to define my trajectory so that it doesn't become a competition for me. I'm okay the way I want to move in that direction. I'm not going to struggle. Okay. I will take my time for me to build along that path. So this is very important because um, as you begin to take decision on what area you're going to move part time, you will not struggle. What you just be seeking for are critical information that you can use for you to be able to drive towards the goals or even understanding what the entire goal is all about. I remember when I stumbled into project management, that was after I graduated from my first degree. I never knew what it's all about. Whereas that's going to be one of the major points of practice for me, right? I never knew what it was all about. I just knew I wanted something different from the conventional way of practice. The first project I did, it was just like everybody were just talking about project management, project management, project management. And I'm like, okay, what really is this all about? I mean, I wasn't taught about this, and it seems it's something that might be very useful. So I just searched online, came across institutes, and voila, I jumped into it. The first instance, I just knew that this is just unique. At that time, there's no university I knew that was offering the course locally, and I just knew that it's something different. It's something different. I'm trying to connect one of my strengths to how I came about discovering this. Because, like I said, I'm someone who likes creativity. I'm someone who likes being ingenious about processes. I don't like um, the convention of, oh, this is what everybody is doing, follow that pattern, go through that pattern. No, I want to see myself being outstanding, even if I'm average in doing something totally different from what every other person is focusing on. I'm okay. I don't necessarily need 100%. I don't necessarily need even 80%. If it's just average 50%, and what I'm doing is totally different from others, I'm fine. I don't necessarily have to be paid hundreds of millions of naira. If you are just paying me 1 million naira, I'm okay. Others can be collecting as long as I'm not doing the same thing. It stands me out. It makes me unique. It gives me my own niche, as it were. And that was what organized my path when I started pursuing my career. I'm saying this because each of us have different value stream. Each of us have different areas of strength, right? Which will be an enabler, or there will be set of enablers for you to grow in your career path. And your journey will not be a competitive journey. Your journey will be a more like a walkthrough. When you are strolling and you are happy, you are just enjoying yourself. You are not seeing stress. Whatever it is you are doing along that path, you just kind of like, it's your lane and you are walking through it. So those are the kind of things that strengths will enable for you by the time you're able to lay hold of what your strengths are. For some, might just be that they are very good in scripting. Okay, so you want to do things around that. Either it is primary to your discipline or it's not even directly related. Then that now takes you into other path that I'm going to be talking about, which has to do with upskilling and developing new areas of competencies, right? And I'll show us what these really entail, right? When you want to develop new skills, you want to learn new things, new ways of working, and then define that by showcasing your competencies is going to really stand you out. For your weaknesses, they are going to be there. They are not something that will disappear as such. Like I said, it's about management. It's about management. Your weakness will always be there. There is never a time that your weakness will turn into a strength. It depends on how you manage them so that someone will not take advantage of your weaknesses. Part of your weaknesses in your career journey might be that you don't have negotiating skill. I mean, you can't negotiate, or you lack influence. Rather, you are usually being easily influenced. Okay, you don't have a firm convictions. Okay, these are part of things that can be exhibited if care is not taking your weaknesses. So you need to find a way to navigate through this so that you are not easily taken advantage of, right? And people don't take undue cost of your I don't want to use generosity now, but your vulnerability, okay? Because your strength sometimes may make you very vulnerable because it's a dominant feature, and it will continue to push you in the direction of your goals, in the direction of your purpose. So if care is not taken because you are totally given to it, chances are that you can naturally be taken advantage of. So you need to guard yourself. That is why it's good that you journal all these things. I've been saying it in the past few sessions. You need to put all these things down so that you can continually remind yourself about it. Your strength, your weaknesses, then your goals that you've set. All these things should be projected in such a way that you can always remind yourself about it. Now, your focus will now remain on your strength. Okay. Your focus will remain on your strength and you keep building on that pathway. If you are able to identify 5 strengths to start with, then you create uh, directions around those 5 strengths. I mentioned about, for me, my strength about creativity, my strength about learning new things, right? My strength about being unique and all of that. So I will create, or I've created different streams. I'll give you another very good example. And this one happened recently. In my industry, one of the main conversation in recent times has to do with, okay, two actually has to do with sustainability. That's environmental sustainability or ESG generally, and artificial intelligence, AI. Okay. And of course, AI is not, in my industry, is not the kind of AI that everybody use, or you use ChatGPT, you use now DeepSeek and all of that. No, AI is in application as we know it in our industry. So we talk more about BIMs. Okay, that's build information models. So our own modern language has to do with more graphically inclined. So whereas other people are using uh, um, what's it called now? They are using large languages that basically text based. Ours is more of graphics, okay? And the graphics are in the range of 7 dimension, 8 dimension, up to 9 dimension. Those are the strange range of BIMs, So, I mean, these are things that you not be taught in school, as it were. Way back when we were in undergrads and grad school, we're not taught all these things. So, getting into the industry, you have to navigate through them if you really need to practice outside of the box. So those were my own keen area because of my own creativity, because of the way that I just want to do things differently from what every other person is doing. So, I mean, rather than just pursuing what every other person is pursuing, so I will go on, research new trends every year. That's what I do. And after a few years, I started subscribing to international journals that at the beginning of every year, they will give me outlooks. Okay, there are things we call outlooks in the industry, projections in the industry, and say 10 outlooks or 10 factors that will determine new streams of opportunities, blah, 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 and all of that. And so those are areas where I focus on. I do my own investment and I do my own goal setting on. Previous years, I decided to like, okay, I'm going to give myself that goal that I'll be one of the first set of people that will be certified as green building expert in Nigeria, right? Because it's new. And even up to now, there are no school of architecture or no school of environmental sciences that is offering that as a major course. Maybe you can do it as a minor from other faculties and all of that. So I gave myself that task as a goal, which eventually I was able to eat. I became the fourth person in the entire country, to attain that. Again, in technology, I gave myself another goal that I want to be the first set of people that will be using these new technologies, okay, for practice. So what I'm saying in essence, I can go on and on and give you quite a number of new streams of opportunities I'm seizing, singularly because I understand my strength. So I'm not going into conventional practice to struggle with my colleagues and like, okay, this is what everybody is doing, you know, and I need to follow suit. I don't stand a chance. In fact, I see myself as not even one of the best. So I will just continue to struggle with the competition there. So I look for new niche, create the new niche, and then find relevance there and be the best in that new niche. And that is how I create the path for myself. And I keep, moving on. Let me tell you one of the challenges by the time you define this. It's possible that you are just one of those unique personality types that you find out there, especially because of the combination of your own personality type, right? It might not be the common personality type, just like when you are looking at the analysis of your genotype or your blood groups, there are certain unique blood groups that are not popular, right? So you might just be one of those kind of persons that will have this unique personality types. You don't need to feel exchanged because many people will not understand your choices. They will not understand what you're pursuing, but the results afterwards will prove you are in the right path. Okay, by the time you begin to pursue and you begin to do your innovative, product development or innovative deliverables, you see that you will always stand out. Might take a while because you are now a pioneer, so to speak, right? You might even have to fail several times for you to be able to develop how things need to work on that journey. You need to remember that this is the choice that you needed to have made, which you have made, and then you need to continue until you get to the end point. So this is what it means when you see some people who are the pioneers, who are the inventors, who are the creators, who are the idealists, and all of that. Look at Elon Musk. Everybody is shouting Elon Musk, Elon Musk, Elon Musk, Elon Musk now because he's the richest man in the world. He has streams of successful businesses, but many people fail to forget that this man has been in the industry for a while and he has been failing at almost every attempt he had and all the hands he has laid on new technologies. But he, upon succeeding, now everybody is celebrating him and he's eating big, in the stock market. That is what it means, right? If Elon Musk wasn't focused, the time it was Bill Gates, Warren Buffett who were leading in the industry, in the tech industry, this man would have been relegated. But he was focused on what he was developing around AI, around robotics, around automations, around EVs and all of that. He was focused and he kept doing the research, kept investing in it and all of that. And at the end of the day, even what Microsoft and all these other, um, um, conventional technology companies, are used to, this one is causing serious revolution, and necessitating new ways of working in the tech industry. So you need to identify your strength. And that's exactly what I've been trying to emphasize on. And if you have not done that, this is going to be an opportunity for you to do it before you move forward on the journey. Okay. So how do you identify your passion and interest? Um, we may not be able to extensively deal with this because there are quite a lot of things around this. But I will just use just only two focal points, okay, to help you identify area of interest. The first one has to do with your ability to discern, okay, discernment. Discernment can be a skill and can also be a gift. A skill in the sense that you can learn the act of discernment through EQ. Yesterday, we talked extensively. I mean, sorry, 2 days ago, we talked extensively about EQ. So through EQ, you can learn how to discern and all those practices around EQ. You can sharpen your discernment. You can increase the capacity and the potential of your deliverables on discernment. And likewise, it can be a gift that is given to you either by impartation or, I mean, by divine providence. Okay, you can just have that gift in you that you can discern. The reason for that is not everything that we see as passion that is true passion. I mean, I gave an example yesterday. The fact that someone is doing something and it seems he's finding fulfillment doesn't necessarily mean that it is a true passion. True passion, or whatever it is that you want to establish as a passion or as an interest, are largely associated to your purpose. They are largely, there is no way, when you're talking about passion, interest, there's no way you can dissociate it from your purpose because they are more like pointers, they are roadmaps, they are signposts that gives you indication of where you can really identify or locate your purpose. So along the path from this moment onward, you'll be seeing along the way identities of your passion. And that's why the other thing I would tell you about this has to do with the gift of time. The gift of time. When you put passion within the space of time, you'll be able to validate true passion and temporary or false passion. The other thing apart from time is also has to do with the value that you place on your passion. If all that you place on your passion or your interest has to do with monetary value, has to do with what's it called now? Benefits, has to do with um, positive sanctions, then they are not true passions. Because the question you ask yourself is, what happens by the time you can no longer derive monetary value or you can no longer derive positive sanction? Positive sanction in the sense that you are getting accolades, you are getting rewards, you are getting recognition, all those praises, all those eulogies and all of that. Positive sanction in that sense, you are no longer getting those things. The question is, will that passion still remain? Will it not die if you're not getting, the kind of appointment or the requisite position that naturally will associate with that? So that is how you can determine true passion or not. True passion will remain consistent in time. True passion, true interest does not change. It's not like politics that they will have switch of interest. Today is because they are looking for money, and once they get money, if they don't, they switch party. No, that is not true interest, and that's not true passion. So we need to be careful the way you embrace your passion. So another assignment I'm going to give us is for you to list out what you think your true passions are. I'm using this model of time over the years. I'm sure in this session, there's nobody that is less than 20 years. It's given. And I want to believe that I'm not wrong, because in applying for this, I didn't ask for your ages, but I strongly believe that nobody is less than 20 years. It takes minimum of 2 scores, that's 20 years, for you to be able to establish your true passion. So if you have lived more than 2 decades and you have not determined your true passion, is an aberration. Okay. So psychologically, it takes minimum, you must have lived minimum of true passion. I mean, sorry, 2 scores for you to be able to establish what your true passion is, because there are going to be evidences of repetitive actions that you've taken in that direction over these years. Some pretty much earlier, from age 4, 5, 6, thereabouts, they identify it and they begin to walk towards it and repeatedly. So that's why you see an ardent musician will tell you right from age 5, I've been singing, or I've been playing drums, or I've been doing this, I've been doing that. Even some that incline in technology, they will tell you right from age 7, age 8, I've been very creative about technologies and all of that, inventing this, blah, blah. So it takes to, okay, so I assume when you use that as your model, you should be able to use time to identify what those areas are. And then the simple thing is for you to now ask the second question to say, if you are not going to be paid for these services, if you're not going to be paid for these actions, if you're not going to be paid for delivering these services, right, in delivering these values, will you still do those things? Are you still going to consistently remain in action on those things? Or if you are woken up from the sleep, will these things still provide the level of satisfaction that is required for you in life? So these are some of the things that will enable you to be able to establish what your true passions are. And sometimes, because of the way we pursue our goals, especially when you have not set your goals in focus with your passion and interest, you will get entangled with you being derailed from what your passions are, and then in pursuit of things that gives you accolades, that gives you recognition, that gives you money in order to settle your bills, that gives you. And I used to tell people, yeah, as good as those things are, because I won't say you should not pay your bills and just keep doing, I'm passionate. So, I mean, I can continue to do things without being paid, right? Wisdom is profitable to direct. You can balance things in such a way that as you are pursuing your passion, you are still having all these other value streams that is giving you means of income. Pending the time you are going to be able to identify how to convert your passion into proper remuneration. Okay, so this is how you will not get so confused about it. If you're able to do the assignments I've given you, I'm sure that if at all you have set your goals, you will have to redefine or refine your goals. If you are not going to change the definition, you are going to retweak or reorientate on the deliverables of your goals. I bet you with you, because some of the things you think or you have held over the years as your passion or your interest, you begin to see the veracity, you begin to see the truthfulness in them, whether they are genuinely your passion or not, whether they are focused on your purpose or not. And if not, now is the best time for you to begin to realign, because you must realign to ensure that your passion is what you're going to take along the journey. Every other thing you can hold a little bit lightly, so that if it requires for you to retire on those things, or if it requires for you to sign out, if it requires for you to give them up, if it requires for you to just walk away from them, you will not have any sense of remorse. You are not going to have anything to lose eventually. I mean, for instance, if your job is not really in the line of your passion, but you're just doing it because you need to pay your bills and all of that, at a point in time when you need to make decision in walking away from the job, you will not find it difficult to do, right? Not because you have other ways by which you can make ends meet. Then finally, unusual passion and interest is actually directly proportional to the level of your faith. So apart from time, apart from the value you place in terms of whether you are going to get physical value for it, or it's just going to be an inherent value, the other thing has to do with the level of the display of your faith. Faith in the sense that your core beliefs, how it is being demonstrated. Okay, if it's a passion, it is an keen interest, you will see the expression of your core beliefs. And that is why I always say that anyone that is walking in the direction of their passion, true passion or interest, they're actually missionaries. They are people who are calling, I mean, who are strictly on a mission. They are strictly on a mission. They are missionaries. So your passion, your interest will make you to be a missionary. And what does this simply mean to be a missionary? You are living by faith. Okay, you are not guided by what any man would do in order to incentivize you, or to kind of like cajole you, or even motivate you in the direction of your passion in doing what you think are your keen interests. Let me move away from this. So just to remind us about setting the goals, because once you're able to settle all this, you have to refine your goals. You have to redefine them. In that case, if that is what is applicable, because they must align with your passion, they must align with your keen interest, and they must align with your purpose. Otherwise, they are just going to be temporary pursuits. And some of these pursuits may not even get to the end goal. I mean, you may not get to the end eventually, especially if they are long-term goals. If they are goals that will have to stretch throughout these 12 months. Or if they are temporary goals, I mean, like just Q1, or you want to walk it through just a month or few weeks, right? You may be so lucky that you will have the capacity to drive without even having the understanding the tenacity of your passion or interest. So you will have it. But if it has to go a longer miles, it has to be something that will stretch through longer miles. You can't just compromise on ensuring that what drives is actually your passion, what drives actually your interest. However, you're going to be paid, you're not going to be paid, you're going to remunerate, you're not going to remunerate, you're going to be incentivized, or you're not going to be incentivized, right? The inner motivation will be sufficient enough to pull you through in order for you to get there. Even when you fail through the journey, you are still going to continue until you get to the end of the mark. So make sure you use all that we discussed and the different tools, especially the smart goal tools, the one I shared with you. Make sure you use it to appropriately set these goals. Then, once you've set your goals, the next thing you need to do is to move into the phase of planning. You have to plan. And there are four things which I've just narrated here that you need to consider when you're planning. The first has to do with schedule, okay? Because your SMART goals are time bound, okay? The scope of what you want to do are time bound. So you need to ensure that you work with specific time that you want to achieve. It's going to be short time, maybe it's going to be on a week basis. It's going to be on a long term, it might be within space of quarters. It's going to be long term, it might be the stretch of this year that by December, what exactly it is that you want to have accounted that you've done in this particular area of your life, in this particular dimension, right? So that's the first thing. So when you're planning, make sure you have specific time that you put, in order for you to also have some sense of accountability. Then the other one has to do with your knowledge base. Okay, how much do you know about the goal that you're setting? It's not just enough for you to say, oh, I want to attain this. What do you know about it? If you don't know anything, it's all well and good. Don't be afraid. It's not going to be an impossible mission, but you need to give yourself in to research, to search, to dig deep and be able to explore all the opportunities. And there are simple areas by which you can go about this. Part of it is this kind of session, this opportunity, going through. That's why I said by the time you are ending on the 40th day, you can't be the same because so many things you have learned, new things you have heard, and the opportunity of all these assignments and personal assessments you are doing will also give you time. Books you are going to be reading or you have been reading will also expose you and give you deeper knowledge about different things, right? And you can easily connect with communities where you belong for your personal learnings, for you to continue to learn or seek for information. Like I told you in my case, because it's a new field, it's a new era of specialization in my industry. I have to search beautifully online for me to be able to connect to those organizations that offers the opportunity, right? And I was able to connect to it, and fortunately, was part of the early set of people who connected to them. So it opens greater opportunity. When you're a starter, it's just like when you have a startup company. When you're a starter in an industry, it gives various opportunities when you don't have any existing competition in the market. It gives you, in fact, it makes you a competitor to yourself, right? So you define what the benchmarks, what the baselines, what the metrics of your performance would be, not what the market itself is going to give you. So that's what education would do for you. And of course, the power of your connection, the power of your networking, your relationship will also leverage on this. There are certain things that, within your networks, it's just like we used to say in our local parlance, what you are seeking for in Sokoto State might be right there inside your trousers. You say Sokoto. Because if you leverage on your network, like as we have here, this is a very diverse group. In each of the sessions, you have people located in different area, you have people in different walks of life, different profession, and of course, located in different city. So if you need anything, chances are that you might find it here. But if you don't connect, if you don't talk, if you don't share, if you don't engage, those information will remain oblivious to you. So you need to open up. And it's not going to be your fault if you're not opening up. And that is why I told you for you to explore, to determine and list out what your weaknesses and strengths are based on your personality type. So if you are someone that knows that part of your personality type requires that you need to strive and work hard against introversion, then you know that it's a hard work you need to place upon yourself to connect. It's a hard work you need to place upon yourself to be expressive, right? Especially when you are seeking for opportunity, when you are looking for things, you don't keep quiet. When you're looking for things, when you need help, you don't keep quiet. You pull yourself out there to get what you're. And once you get it, you can resort back into your shell and keep working at yourself, right? Then the final one on this our action plan is also to now look at the range of your experience. Sometimes experience becomes a major limitation for you exploring opportunity or to even start a journey at all, right? If you're someone that have requisite experience on a particular goal, like when you're talking about technology, there is no new technology that wants to happen that will be strange to me, because even though technology is not, or computing is not my primary discipline, but over the years, I've gained experience in the area of technology, starting from data computing systems now into artificial intelligence, and then going deeper into neuroscience. it's something that is fascinating, because you now start thinking about what the future reality in technology will look like. We are talking about the integration of technology with human being, which is the ultimate. So all of these things are as a result of experience. So experience will give you that kind of inner motivation that will make you audacious, right? So your goals, when you are setting it, you won't be afraid to say, oh, rather than me waiting for 12 months in the long term, I can actually attain this, with rigorous effort. I can achieve it in 1 month, in 2 months. So you can give yourself those kind of audacious milestones for you to work at. That's what experience will tell you, and that's what experience is going to enable you to do when you're seeking for opportunity. So it's very important. I know experience, every opportunity you've had on experience counts. So don't discount that, including what we are doing in this session. 40 days experience going through this learning is going to form part of your experience, and you shouldn't belittle it. That's why the level of attention you give to this learning process and engagement matters, so that you can have a cumulative true experience at the end of the day, which you can practically engage by the time you want to plan to pursue your uh, um, your purpose. Look at the way we describe and explain about EQ. I'm sure some of you just discover new things about yourself, conducting that EQ test on yourself, and the previous personality type test as well. So those are part of things that will give you some level of new experiences which you can leverage on by the time you're planning on how to pursue, because they are not going to be so far-fetched from what you will see along the way when you begin to navigate through different paths that will make you attain your goals. Okay, so what are the relevant skill sets or areas of competencies that you can leverage on if you want to establish new streams of experiences and explore more opportunities? You have the technical skills, you have the soft skills, and then you have your particular experience in a particular area of work. And this, why I have to point this out to you, is because it's possible you have done different types of jobs. Okay, you have moved like me across 7 different industries. You can never tell that all those previous experiences across different industries are a waste. No, they are not at all. If the only thing you have learned through that journey, moving, transiting from different industries, is just for you to learn the business management aspect of your discipline, it's worthwhile and it counts. What you just need to do is to know how to journal, how to document those experiences and make sense out of it, because it's going to be a leverage, it's going to be a leveler for you at the end of the day, compared to your colleagues, compared to those that are going to have to meet along the way and walk past them, those that you are going to look towards getting the same opportunity. What is going to make the difference between both of you, or between a set of you, is going to be your own opportunity, or the way you have walked across the different path that you've gone through. So don't belittle anything, no matter how small it is, right? Even all your volunteer services, there are areas of experiences and opportunity, learning leadership, learning empathy, learning other forms of soft skills, the way you're solving problems, the way you think, in ideating solutions and all of that. And of course, the way you work within diverse teams, how you communicate, at eye level. All of these things are not what some jobs will offer you, but you've acquired them because you have you have worked without streamlining your experience across different industries. Then the aspect of mentorship and life coaching is also very important. I explained to you 2 days ago what mentorship, why mentorship is quite different from role modeling. Okay, mentorship gives you more intimate experience compared to if it's about role modeling, which usually are indirect impacts. So mentorship gives you direct impacts. So you need to continue to keep yourself at bay with where you can get this kind of rub off of experiences. There are certain things that you don't necessarily have to go through in life in terms of experiences. As they say, the experience is the best teacher, but you don't need to experience certain things. There are people who have experienced it that can put the lessons that you need to learn, what we call lessons learned, that is documented at the end of every project. There are people who can put these things in your hand for free. Some, they will even document it in books. Some will document it in learning journals or learning what's it called now? Generally document that you can relate with, maybe as a form of your meditation or as a form of your uh, daily impact sessions and all of that. You need to relate with it. So when I'm saying mentorship, it might be formal, it might be informal, but make sure you connect with it so that you can get the right guidance, as you're trying to plan and develop the way by which you can navigate through this. Finally, on this, I mentioned to you that if you want to enter into a market, there is no one specific way well defined that can get into the market. It's one of the things that mentorship will tell you. If you think everybody is entering into market through this straight road or spending 4 hours to drive in, because of the foresight and the insight that a mentor has had, he or she can give that underscore the experience you need to have in that particular journey, right? So it can tell you, oh, rather than going through this, we discovered there's a route that you need to circumvent through this area, even though it's not going to be straight. It can be curvy, it can be suicidal, and all of that. But when you keep focused, you get to your destination quicker than you think. So these are all the things. For you, imagine, I've gone through almost about 3 stages in becoming an expert in a particular field in my industry. If I'm going to mentor whoever, either the person is way ahead of me or the person is even a professor, right? If I'm going to mentor the person to go through that same path, I won't allow the person to go through my own tortuous path. I would rather give the person a shorter route by which the person can attain the same thing I've attained. And that's how it works. And that you are older, you are higher, you are a professor, you are whatever it is, does not mean that you have command of all that you want to do in terms of your goals, except you want to be uh, uh, um, singular. You want to have this sense of singularity in your purpose, but your purpose will be able to direct you to all the different dimensions of your life. Finally, finally, in leveraging about your networking and connections, there are quite a number of areas that you can put yourself out there. I've been saying this, but I just needed to organize it and still push it out for you to see. Many of you, belong to, uh, notable professional organizations. The question is, how have you been leveraging on the community of your professional organizations, right? Whether the organization is formally organized or they are disorganized, there is no how, as long as it's a formidable organization in terms of it's a recognizable discipline. You have the responsibility to take the best that you can get out of the organization. As an architect, I belong to all the known organizations that an architect can ever desire to belong to. Many of them I'm not really actively involved, but when I'm seeking for opportunity, I have access to go there and pick the opportunity. Sometimes it might even be once in a month. I just go into the groups, I check, and then ask one question or two questions, connect with one or two people. I don't attend. Sometimes I don't attend all the meetings. I just selectively, intuitively, with high sense of discernment, I know which particular one I should go for and all of that. Why I'm saying this is because the fact that you're going into different communities for you to leverage on opportunities does not mean that you should not become so subservient. You should become so, in quotes, passionately given and then eventually become derailed. So this is where you create the balance. And that is why I said identifying true passion is very important. People get mixed up by the time they're connecting or networking with people by thinking that they can drive passion and interest in those areas. No, not at all. You need those groups, you need those communities, you need those networks, those connections, across the way, even if it's just going to be because you need to water, okay, if it's going to be for you to just have a stepping stone, but eventually what you need to do is for you to keep your focus on your purpose and then begin to drive it, right? So I'm going to stop here and I would like you to ruminate on these things and see how it applies to your life. I know some of you are already getting the best out of some of these connections. like those on LinkedIn, those in your professional career, in your other small groups that you belong. So if there are areas where you can relate some of these things, you can share so that others will be able to benefit from it, how you have leveraged on opportunities within those dimensions for you to be able to create a career path and achieve your goals. Then subsequently, there's a session where we're going to talk about branding, most likely either tomorrow or next. We're going to talk about branding, how you can set a brand for yourself and achieve your goals. So we'll stop here, and the floor is open for comment, contribution, feedbacks, and internalization. Thank you. So comments, feedbacks. Everybody's quiet. Please don't be quiet. I need feedbacks. I need comments. I need perspective on this. At least some of you, if not all, must have set goals this year. So how does this relate with what you have been engaging in? February, I mean February is almost running off too. January is gone. So what have you been doing? Have you been walking through this path? Have you set your plans? How did you go about setting your plans? How do you relate with your experiences? Are you leveraging on your communities? And how are you generally pursuing your goals? Oh no, please don't do this. I need feedbacks. Yeah, Gbero, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Right. Thank you so much for this season. Listening to you, trying to emphasize on way leveraging on networking, leveraging on uh, connections, our connections and people we have to achieve our goal, to actually grow in areas of our lives really resonates with me and part of what I've been doing so far. And also we're trying to focus on our passions, despite the fact that we have to feed our mouths, and we should just ensure that we follow our passions and apply wisdoms in knowing how to balance feeding your mouth and your passion and everything. Thank you so much. Um, and it is good to actually know that you are a project manager. I mean, you are in construction industry, so you should be expecting me in your DM before we conclude this mentorship program. Because I'm also in construction industry as a quantity surveyor, and of course I'm working in some technology projects at the moment. So I would like to get some insight from you. Thank you so much, sir.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that feedback. So yeah, I'm open to further conversation and engagement. That's excellent. Any other feedback? Other feedback? What are you doing currently? How are you navigating through your plans? Have you set your plans? What are the key pinpoints you have? Has any of this conversation today be of help to you? Hmm. Silence. Yeah, please go ahead. I can see your hand. You can unmute.
Right, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. It's a rare privilege to be part of the community. We're talking about goals and how I am navigating the I think I just joined yesterday and I have to start watching the earlier recordings. So I'm really getting so much insight in some of the videos that I've seen. If I'm not mixing anything up, I think maybe it's tonight that we spoke about purpose. I've taken in a lot of content at this season. So goals and purpose and passion, um, connecting those three things like you just mentioned tonight is if if I don't, so my learning tonight is if I don't want to go against the grain and make things difficult for myself, then I should always play to my strength. And anything that I do that I get the motivation from an external person, then it is not purpose. So I'm taking that learning away from here to redefine my goals. And there are some choices that we have already made that you cannot go back based on the level where I am on those choices, even though they seems like struggle achieving them. But just look at the strength around that particular thing and restructure my goal setting to ensure that I still finish those courses, even if they are not necessarily my area of strength, so to say. So I think that is what I'm picking out from here tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I like what you just brought up now, which is very, very key. Sometimes when you start pursuing even those things that you think are your keen interest, yeah, your passion, chances are that you may not be very, very good at it, right? So how do you keep going? How do you keep the pursuit on? How do you keep doing those things? You must always find a way to connect to your inner motivation. And usually is when you focus those things on your purpose, because that becomes the reason why you cannot give up. Whereas if you are based your motivation on external factors or other forms of motivation, maybe remuneration or people or someone that is always giving accolades, rewards, and recognition. What if you are denied of those things? Maybe the person you even think is your role model dies and all of that. So, would you still have the sense, the commitment, and the all the understanding that is required for you to keep going? So it's good that you first of all work on yourself, right? You first of all work on yourself, rediscover yourself through that self-awareness exercise. Discover yourself, determine your personality type, because that's the progression. If you start from anywhere other than there, you will still have to come back. It's like an origin. You still have to come back there to start the journey. So self-awareness, then determine who you are, know your strengths, your weaknesses, and then begin to now plot your journey through that, through the planning that we just discussed about. Thank you. I think we can still take one more person and then we'll round up. Any other feedback, question? Any other feedback or question? Do you have any challenge in setting your goals, or you set your goals in planning, or you planned now in pursuing? Do you have any challenge? Have you had any issue? What have been your experiences working in your networks and connections? I remember someone some time ago telling me that the reason why it doesn't enjoy his network or connection is because they usually failing. Trust me, that happens. It's possible your connection fails you. Maybe I have even failed some people that have tried to connect with me. Because I remember so many people trying to reach me and they can't just reach me and all of that. That's a point of frustration for some people. And eventually might resort into something else. So I mean that these are kind of stuff that you have to deal with when you're trying to connect and network with people. So all these skills that we have discussed, all of them will come to bear. You need to have a high sense of effective communication. What are the communication ethics? When you're trying to reach someone, you don't call the person 10 times simply because you want to connect to the person, or you don't keep barraging the person and keep sending messages, keep sending texts. You are just all over the person. So you need to understand etiquette. You need to understand the discipline that is required, for you to connect and network. So these are part of the things that can get you quick wins and quick results. Finally, any feedback, any question, Any other comments?
Yes, sir. Can I go ahead?
Yes, Favor, go ahead.
Okay, so first I apologize for joining very late. I was on and off with my connection. So for me, I wouldn't even say I know much about what was talked about today, but from the feedback, I can say it's still in line with what we've been discussing. And for me, it's clearer now that, like you always say, whatever we do is based on becoming self-aware. As I know that there was a time in my journey that I felt I needed clarity, but I can see now that all of those things came because I really didn't discover myself. So um, starting to find out who you are would also inform the choices you make. It would help you to also know how the kind of people or spaces that you should be in to guide you. So yes, I'm um, getting it now, and I'm grateful that I'm beginning to understand it, and as well, I'm seeing how it can be of great benefit to me and help me in setting goals right now.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm happy that you see area of application and how this can impact you. So thankfully, we have not wasted time today. So please practice this thing. Like I keep saying, is until when you apply that you can really internalize. If you don't apply, it remains dormant, right? So please make sure you apply the two assignments, make sure you get to do them so that you can see how this thing pans out. Then, as we close, there are four things that I want to drop with you, right? Which will help you to continue to track and monitor the way you walk through the journey. Okay. Number one is for you to learn simple tools that you can use. So sometimes when I'm planning, I want to use an easy tool that will help me in facilitating ease of tracking. So sometimes I just use a simple Excel sheet. Whatever it is I want to do, I put on an Excel sheet. I can put on my mobile phone. Sometimes I just use my simple calendar, or my to-do list app, so you can simplify. Don't let it look like it's another kind of work you want to do. Otherwise, that's the same way it's going to look when it comes to you tracking your progress. Then the other one is for you to continually identify gaps. What are the missing links? You didn't do something you're supposed to do today. Why? Because it's a gap. Otherwise, it will repeat itself over and over again. And once you identify, the third thing is for you to now make necessary adjustments so that you don't procrastinate, right? You discovered this is the reason why you didn't do what you're supposed to do. You quickly fix it, right? You quickly fix it. And finally, you always seek to do things that will retain your inner motivation. Never lose your inner motivation. Your inner motivation becomes more like your inner joy, joy that flows deep from within you. It becomes what will keep you going, right? It will keep you on track. You'll keep climbing, no matter how difficult the heights may look. You'll keep going. So those are the kind of things that will help you once you start moving and pursuing your goals. Okay, so we're going to end here. We'll convene again tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
sir. Good night, sir.
Yeah. Good night. Bye.